This video will focus on virus structure. So before we jump into the structure of viruses, we'll look at what viruses are first of all. Now, some people say viruses are non-living, some people say they are living. Okay, they're kind of in between living and non-living organisms. We usually say that viruses are not living at all. So basically, viruses can, sit around, float around, as we know, and they can cause lots of problems. So a virus is basically a tiny bundle of genetic material. So it's either DNA or RNA. It's carried in a shell called the viral coat or the capsid. Okay, so basically the viral coat is protecting the genetic material. Now the DNA or RNA, the genetic material, is actually quite sensitive, and it really needs to be protected so that it doesn't get destroyed. So it's protected by the capsid, and basically that is the main component of a virus, is genetic material and the capsid or the coat. Here are two different types. Genetic material is inside here, and then you've got the coat on the outside. You do have lots of other parts, which we'll look at in the next slide. Here we can see a few examples with those different parts. The tobacco mosaic virus here has the capsid and the RNA. Adenovirus has protein spikes, the capsid, and DNA. Bacteriophage, which infects bacteria, have a sheath, tail fiber, DNA, and the capsid itself. So all of these are different, and they do have different components. Okay, we'll also look at virus reproduction. So we'll look at the bacteriophage as the example. This is the virus that affects bacteria or infects bacteria. Now we can see there are a few different stages here. I do apologize for the blurriness of the picture. So with the bacteriophage here, we can see that it is landing on the host cell. It is injecting its nucleic acid. We then have replication. You can see lots of new viruses are being produced. The parts of the viruses are produced. They are then assembled to produce new viruses. The cell will then burst, releasing lots of viruses. And then those viruses can go and attack other cells and complete the cycle again. So really, we look at these stages: absorption, penetration, synthesis, maturation, and release. So here are those 5 stages in detail. It's basically explaining what is happening at each stage. Now, viruses only exist to reproduce. They are totally dependent on the living host organism, and they have no chemical processes of their own. Okay, just remember that they need living organisms or living cells, host cells, for them to replicate and reproduce. And that is the end of the video. In the next part, we will look at the uses of microorganisms.